Hey, welcome back. We got another episode of Sessions with System and Soul. Thanks for hanging in there with us. We're learning and growing and finding our groove with this show. And it's fun to have feedback from people like you, our listener, that help us make this what is helpful for you, grows you. We're really trying to give you an inside look into what happens at System and Soul and what happens inside sessions that we have with our clients through some of these formats. Today, obviously, as always, here with my co-host and co-founder, McKenzie Decker, and we're talking about one of our tools, maybe the tool that is the glue to make the whole thing go. What are we talking about today, McKenzie?
We're talking about my very favorite thing on the planet. No bad meat. We're talking about our weekly meeting cadence. Before you stop listening, wait. It's I think we all have a lot of pain when it comes to meetings, so we want to talk about it today. There is a better way. I'll go ahead and say we've got a way that we think works really well. That does work really well for thousands of leaders, and we want to talk through it with you today. But what I know about meetings is most people have like a secret or very, very real hate for the meetings that they have. It's like this necessary evil that we all face, and it seems like I know if I look at my calendar or your calendar, Benj, it's like stacks. It's just stacks of conversations sometimes, and it feels like we really need to be having this conversation. Could this have been an email? Like when we have the meeting, are we getting anything done? Are we showing up prepared? Like it can be just a real challenge. But on the other side of that, like we have to talk to get things done. If we don't have those cadences where we meet regularly, then it tends to be that things fall through the cracks, or the right people don't hear about what we need to be doing, or something important that's a roadblock, and what we're trying to do just stays a roadblock when we could move past it. So there's a lot to try to work through here. And so what we're going to do today is talk through one of our tools that is probably the most used tool that we have, just because it's what people use every week to interact with one another and use the System and Soul framework. But we have this meeting called the weekly sync, and we're going to walk you through it today. And we will also give you the agenda in the show notes. So if you hear something you like, but you're driving or unloading a dishwasher or whatever you're doing while you're listening to this, don't worry. All of the details will be in the show notes.
Yeah, and the details really aren't the point of the conversation today. Really want to talk about and zero in what makes a great meeting, why have them, and some things to avoid.
Yeah. Well, before we jump into that, I think we each have our own unique reason for despising meetings at times. So I'm curious, over the years for you, as you've led businesses, what do you hate most about meetings? Where do you think it like totally falls off the rails for you?
Uh, any meeting that I don't have a clear problem to solve, like, and some of that's my wiring, but like I get energized by like solving the problem together. So it's like if we're getting on a meeting, it's like I want the thing that we're going to wrestle to the ground. If we have a meeting because we're supposed to have a meeting or because somebody thought it was a good idea, or if it's just loose, it kills me. It's even worse with in our virtual culture with Zoom meetings because, well, I see it in real life now too. People are just so addicted to multitasking and like multi-threaded brain that they're not really there and focused. So that's another pet peeve. And I'm the guiltiest of them all, like especially Zoom.
I was about to say.
In person, I can do okay. On Zoom, like the minute that the meeting like veers from something that I feel like I can add value to or I'm part of, I'm like, like it's just. I mean, I know I am like stereotypical like squirrel. What was that? What's that over there? Can I punch out a few lines of GPT real quick and let it go work on something while we're having the conversation? Whatever the thing of the moment is. But that it's really hard for me to stay engaged. And so the meeting has to be engaging, and it has to be around things that matter. And some of that's so here's the irony is some of that's selfish, right? Like, oh, the meeting has to fit me, but also everybody should feel like that in a meeting. Like 80% of the meeting should involve every 80% of the people in the room. There's another part of it, like, that is really important, which is the relational part. And to me, there's a difference between like intentional relational stuff and like the like nonsense chit chat that can happen. Like my pet peeves, like somebody that's like, "Hey, let's have coffee and catch up." I'm like, "Mm, yeah." But if somebody's like, "Hey, can you help me? Can we get together and solve this problem?" I'm like, "Yes, I'll drop everything, even if the problem has nothing to do with me." It's like, I mean, but that's my thing. And I was with a guy this week in session, highly, highly relational. So he's got to go through the relational movements before he can get to the tactical, practical, strategic. So I've got to learn to honor that and stay present in those moments. That was a lot. I'm rambling. You got me all excited.
You've got a lot of meeting trauma, it sounds like.
Well, I'm also working on it. Like there's real things to like. It's an important muscle in a business.
It is. It's 1,000% important muscle. I think you named a couple of things that I think a lot of visionaries struggle with. Like, I don't know any CEO that's like, I've got ample time. Let's waste it together. Like, I don't know anybody who's got that kind of just freedom with their time. So when they show up, they're like, okay, what do we do? We got stuff to get done. But at what you just mentioned too is like you've got different types of people that are wired differently that kind of need different things out of it.
Yeah.
Because there is value in that relational time. And that we can't get rid of that, but we can't get rid of being productive either. So
just sparked another trauma of somebody that wants to tell you the whole story of how they did what they did and get credit for like all the things along the way. I'm like, I'm biting my lip going, I pay you to do all that without me knowing about it. Like, I just want to know like where we're at. Is it going well? Is there a problem? Yeah, that's another one. We can sit here with the traumas all day. What's your trauma? You're so good at meetings. You're like the meeting queen.
No, so mine's different than yours, and I thought it would be. I can't stand when I've been in too many meetings where there's a bunch of idea people who are so good at ideas and talking about their ideas and coming up with something cool. And then we like end the meeting and we didn't really pick any next steps. Like there's no actions coming out of it. And then we get to the next meeting and everybody goes, did we talk about that already? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I am not going to take notes for everyone and make sure that we move this forward. Like it's got to be a group effort to decide, like, we're going to take a great idea or a great decision and move it to action. And we're going to follow up on it. I could just stand on my soapbox with that. But, I know everybody who's listening, who's stuck with us this far, has their own version of that trauma. And it's real. It's just it's a muscle, like you said, it's a muscle that we have to develop. It's a necessary thing for how we operate together. So let's do it better. Let's figure out a way to make it work. We've got a meeting agenda that we've developed that I think it works great. And I think even I'm biased, but I think it works really great. And I think it helps solve a lot of what we just talked about. It helps solve this issue of like wasting time relationally or not giving the time relationally. We need to find a balance there. It helps us talk about the right things and show up with like very directed focus.
Yeah.
And it helps us remove roadblocks at the right time and move towards action. So that is what our agenda is. I am not going to go in the details just because it's like that. It would be the epitome of what you just talked about, of wasting our time going through the details. But
we could talk about the problems that it solves, like all in one tightly packaged meeting. If we do it well,
Yeah.
that solves a lot of problems. Like,
Yeah.
one of the biggest problems that I hear is like somebody says they're going to do something, but there's no feedback loop. So it's even though somebody's going to do it, not me, it's still on my list. It's still an open loop. I'm still wondering where it's at.
Yeah.
Like I still feel like I own it because there's no built-in feedback loop. And that's one of the biggest things that this meeting does for me is when when somebody else on the team takes an action out of that meeting, I can forget about it at least for 7 days till we're back there. And then we'll talk about, it has a place and the place is not on my plate or in my brain. And the value of that, it seems small, but like those things add up. When there's 5 or 10 of those and you're trying to think about the business and work on the business and do all your tasks in the business, like there's just so many potential open loops. As leaders, we got to find place to park those so they're not crowding our brain space.
Yeah. I'm gonna give just we're not gonna get super, super detailed, but I do think it'd be helpful to give them like the top, like the 4 sections of how we think through this meeting and how we work through it.
Yeah, cool.
So, and I'll go quick, but we start so there's connect, there's cadence, there's removing and solving opportunities, and then we're gonna commit and conclude. So that's our 4. Connect, cadence, opportunities, and conclude. Each one is important for its own reason, and I'll give you that. So we're gonna connect. We're gonna talk about everybody's weekend and the weather and Benj's favorite topics. I'm just kidding. No. We're gonna we use this time. We wanna start our meeting like being human because they're everyone on our team deserves that space. Some days people need it more than others, but we wanna create a space for understanding where people are at when they come into the meeting because it does impact how we talk about what we're doing. Like it definitely
100%.
they bring their energy or they bring the unfortunate thing that happened that morning, or they bring a win that we should all know about. Like it's intentional time to be there as a team, as human beings. So we're going to connect and
But it's not rambling. At the same time, it's not rambling. It's very structured.
it's structured. We ask, how are you feeling coming in? Are there wins from last week that you want to share? And then one of my favorites is we do core value shout outs in that time. And so that is a great way to loop back in our values and talk about them on a regular basis and give people like meaningful, specific feedback of when they're living those out. So that's connecting. And we spend like, depending on how many people you have in the room, that's like a 10-minute time frame.
Right.
The next section is cadence, which I think is going to surprise people, but we only spend like 5 or 10 minutes in this section very intentionally. And so when we say cadence, we're talking about reviewing the work that's already happening. What results were we looking for in the last week? Like if we're measuring metrics, we're going to look at them really, really quickly. If we have objectives or big projects that we're working on, we're going to cover those in this section. And we're going to cover like what actions or tasks were complete in the last week of time. I think I totally skipped saying this meeting is a weekly meeting. So some of this runs on a 7-day time block. So when we get to this section, we're going to spend 5 minutes going like, is this done or not done? Is it on track or off track? And we're going to like smush this as tight as we can because we don't need to like you said, Benj, it's like we don't need to unpack every step that happened in the last week. That's not what this is for. It's on track or off track. And is there anything here in the work that we're doing now that we need to discuss? And we're going to move that into our next section.
Yeah. Before you move on, you probably heard us talk about this before, probably again, but like every team in an organization needs to be thinking about how are we performing and how are we transforming? Like we need to perform today. We need to transform into who we want to be in the business in the future. So our KPIs, key performance index, the way that we measure the performance of our team, we put it on a scoreboard. That's how we're performing. How are we performing? The objectives that we use, the OKRs, quarterly objectives, that's how we're transforming the business. We're maturing the business. So if we just take a minute, we've already identified what these are. We don't have to rehash them. But if our KPIs are green and our objectives are on track, we are performing and we're transforming and we don't have to do a deep dive. But if for some reason we're not performing or not transforming like we set out to do, then that's something we probably need to talk about. But we need to prioritize how we talk about it so we don't do it in this 5 to 10 minute segment. And I'll let you transition and keep going.
Yeah. So to recap, we've connected. We've looked at the cadence of our business, which is like, are we pacing? What you said is, are we like green or red? Is it red light, green light? Do we need to stop and find time to talk about this, or are we good to go? We can keep moving through that. So when we get to this next section, we call it opportunities. This is where if we've got our meetings, this weekly meeting is usually about an hour, or it could be up to 90 minutes. This is where we're going to spend like 2/3 of the meeting. So we're going to use this time very, very well to solve the most important problems that we have. This is all about, we want to move as quickly as we can to get to the point where we're looking at the opportunities in front of us. And let me give you a quick definition. When we talk about opportunities, we're not talking about, sometimes we're talking about the next big deal or the next client opportunity or partnership. Like it could be that something awesome comes up that could be a true opportunity by definition. But we also want to use it. We want to think about the problems that we encounter, the roadblocks, the challenges, the people issues, the broken systems. We want to think about those things as opportunities as well. So those things live on this same list as the ideas and the new relationships and, the new ventures. And this is very intentional because this is in some ways, when you go through your week, this opportunities section is like your parking lot for the things that we need to talk about, but we don't want to get distracted. We don't want to disrupt the work that's being done, but we need a place to talk about it. So this is a repository for all of those things. And we're going to use 2/3 of that meeting to prioritize which of those things are most important for us to discuss today as a team. So there's a couple things in that today as a team, meaning it's the most urgent and important thing we can talk about, and it involves all of our participation. So that's how we want to think about this section of the meeting. And so we pick like our top 3 things that we need to discuss, and then we work through it. You want to add to that?
Well, I want to like zoom out, like big picture. One of the huge benefits to this is like, in a world of distractions, it's really easy, whether it's an idea or an issue or an obstacle, whatever it is, I think most organizations have a bad habit of, this came into my inbox, I got this phone call, let's create an email with 5 or 7 people on it and send it off. And now we've got crisscross emails. It gets lost. Who owns it? Who needs to respond? All this stuff. It's just bad. So if I can park that, every once in a while, there's an emergency, but most things can wait until your next weekly sync, to get your team rally around whatever this thing is. And so again, back to like closing those open loops, just removing the noise that we have as leaders. Like just put it on the list, put it on the list, put it on the list. And if you get to your weekly sync and it's not the most important thing, then it's definitely not the most important thing to send off the email and distract 5 people with 75 emails during the time that they're trying to get things done. And so really this list is what are the things that we need to clear out of the way so that we can continue to execute on the quarter like we planned. And stuff pops up in business. That's the life of business we got to deal with. But we really want to keep them executing toward the plan for the quarter. And so we have a second list from the opportunities if something's on there and it's like, this is too big. This is strategic. This would change our priorities. Every once in a while, it's the right thing to do to call timeout. Like when COVID hit, call timeout, rethink everybody's priorities, right? But most of the time, it's like, hey, that actually is for the future. That's a big conversation. That would change the way we're executing right now. Let's put that on the list and let's talk about that in our quarterly. right? So again, just this mental organization of where do all these things go? Man, I was working with the CEO and in the process of talking about like why he really, really, really needed System and Soul, he just kept talking about his notebook that he keeps and he tries to keep organized, but it's all of the thoughts, it's all of the things people are supposed to be doing. Like it was the chaos of his brain in a notebook, and he was struggling to keep up with his notebook, and his notebook was keeping him up at night. And I'm like, we can help with that. There's a place for all these things, and now we can involve other people at the right time. So just from a high level, yeah, we're doing the tactical work of prioritizing, solving those, moving them to action. But from a high level, the energy, that the space that it creates for us to do the things we need to do as leaders is huge.
Yeah. It's kind of I'm gonna pick on you, but it's kind of ironic you're talking about this because I think you're probably the person who is most often bring things to the opportunities list when we're like, "Hey, love that. We gotta keep that for next quarter, or we have to put a hold on that because it's going to disrupt what we're doing today and the objectives that we have." And I should also say I fully appreciate how willing you are to let us lead in that way.
But
But
that's the thing. When you were doing your check-in and all your pet peeves, I'm like about like having big idea conversations, but no, not landing it. I'm like, I'm so thankful that you're there in the meeting to bring that down to something concrete or to say this is for later. Um, Otherwise, like if there wasn't that space, like what would I do with these things, right? They either wouldn't have a place to get talked about, or they would never have like any concrete plan at the end of them. So the combination is super important. It's not like I'm annoyed by your pet peeves, and I'm actually like super grateful for them. And
yeah,
so anyway, yeah, it's like I think it is a team sport, and this is one of the places where the team comes together to collaborate.
totally. And I think anyone who's listening just has to experience this to really understand it. But it is the culmination and the coming together of the visionary ideas, the tactical ideas, the new strategic ideas. Like this is the meeting ground for all of those things. And we create the meeting ground, and then we have a way of working through these opportunities that's effective. It helps us stay aligned to what we decided 6 months ago, a year ago, 3 years ago for what we want for the business, but it also helps us keep that innovative edge and pay attention to things that come up that make us better. So
Yeah,
that piece of it, we could probably spend maybe we just even need to do a whole episode on what
we
opportunities
probably
are
could.
work through it. But we have that piece. We spend like I said, 2/3 of our meeting there, and we always want to move towards an action. Like I will say it 1,000 times over, but there's always whenever we have an idea or something we've solved, we always wanna move it towards an action and a next step, and so, whether it's we've gotta go get more information or this person can go implement this campaign, or we need to go send this email or set this additional, conversation up, that's what an action is, and so we always wanna move towards that. And then you have something to add?
No, finish your thought. Yes, I do, but finish your thought and then
Well, I wanted to share with them what our last section is in this
yeah,
conversation, which is we call it commit and conclude. So the commit part is the action part. It's like we're all committing to whatever we decided as a next step. We're all acknowledging, yep, I got it. If it's assigned to me, if it's my thing, I'm going to take care of it. So that's commitment. And then conclude is all about reviewing, rating, and giving feedback on how that meeting went. So I know that's like kind of weird. Like, I don't think I've ever met anybody who's like, I rate my meetings and I know what that means. um, but we do that because like we talked about as we started this conversation, there's too many ways that meetings can go sideways or be ineffective or a waste of time or people are distracted. And like we wanted to create a way to talk about that so that we can get better.
yeah,
So the rating, we rate the meeting on a 1 to 4 scale. So it's like if it's a 1, everybody gets to vote, by the way. So everybody in that meeting gets to vote 1 to 4. 1 is this was the worst meeting I've ever been in. total waste of time all the way to 4 is like, we were super focused, we got the right things done, we're on track, like, that's what a 4 sounds like. So, everybody gets to rate it. And that gives us a feedback loop so that next time we show up, we're getting better. We're not distracted while we're meeting. We're not wasting time talking about, our dog's toe surgery or whatever thing is going on. There's like there's that loop there. So that's how we always finish our meetings. And then, like we said, this is a weekly conversation. So we're practicing this every week. It's part of our routine. It's part of how we get work done. And it really helps us stay on track with what's most important.
Yeah. And I love how, like, I secretly want people to call me out, like, when I get distracted, like, and it's like, Benj wasn't present. It's a 3 for me. Benj wasn't present. Like, I probably could use a shock collar, but until that's humane, then, like, having that potential feedback is helpful. Just in the honesty with the team. The other thing is, like, we had our weekly sync yesterday as a team. And there most weeks it's like my most highly anticipated meeting on my calendar, because we come together to get stuff done. And yesterday, like, there had been some Slack messages about some certain things that we were all had high energy around. So it was like, I can't wait to get to our meeting. I can't wait to get to our meeting. And we've had a few of those lately. And then when we got to the end and rated it, most people, I think everybody said it was a 4, but it was for 2 reasons. We got so much done and we laughed our butts off yesterday, right? So as much as we're talking about how effective this meeting was, like, if it's not like one of your more energizing meetings of the week, like, you might have a culture problem, you might be doing meetings wrong, I don't know, but as a team, like, this is where you get to, like, it's almost like doing film on a pro sports team. Like, hey, we're going to get in the trenches. We're going to review what's going on, review what we need to do better. And then we're going to go back out there and practice and play and execute and come back and see what we did, So it should also be something that you really look forward to and enjoy.
Yeah. Well, I think we've sold them well enough on the idea. So I think it's worth trying.
If you're not running a weekly meeting with your team, like, what are you even doing? Like, once you do this, like, everybody says, like, I don't know how we ran before. And that's how I feel. It's been a long time, but, like, I don't know how you run a business without a weekly sync with your team. I just don't know what you're doing.
We don't know what you're doing, so do what we do. We're going to give you the meeting agenda. I would say give it a shot. Try it out. I will tell you, it is harder than you think it is because you're, like, herding cats. But give it a shot. If you need help, reach out to us. We do this every week. We've done it with thousands of leaders. So try that out. It's in the show notes. We also have a software tool that helps run your meetings. It's called S2 Sync. Check it out, s2sync.com, if you want a digital way to run your meetings and keep track of all this stuff and take
save the notebook.
Yeah, save the notebook. Put it in an app. But this is a great way to keep leading your team better, to stay more organized. And like you said, the best part of it is connecting in a real way every single week as we do this work. Thank you guys for sticking with us today. This is probably our most exciting conversation ever, meetings. We all love a meeting conversation. And we want to thank Fist Bumps for helping us bring this to you. If we want to be, this has been the most honest episode ever. I'm going to go ahead and be honest about, we really struggle with the social media machine and the, like, having to be out there and and I are not people who want everybody to know about every moment of our lives. And so, and a lot of that is, like, we're both private people. We're both introverted and have a hard time knowing how to show up online in a real way and feeling like there's a lot of content out there that just feels like, yeah, someone definitely wrote that in ChatGPT and, like, didn't even give it a second thought. And we don't want to be a part of that. And that's why we work with Fist Bumps. They have helped us be 100% authentic in how we show up and continue to coach us on how to create great content like this. So if you need help with that, if you need help building relationally focused, trust building content, Fist Bumps is where it's at. getfistbumps.com is the website. So check it out, and we just want to thank them for bringing this episode to you today. Benj, good to see you.
Hey, great to see you. See you.